question number 2 is about fears. This child is afraid of buses, dump trucks, and loud motorcycles that pass by on the road. The child constantly runs away from those vehicles by looking away or running off to the roadside. Child isn't afraid of pictures of the same vehicles and only reacts to the real life versions. They're afraid that the child is afraid of the size or the noise of these vehicles, but they don't want to have the child wear earmuffs for safety related reasons. They're afraid that these reactions might result in some sort of accident if the child were ever alone. Now, pictures of items versus the real life items, there's a huge discrepancy between those, right? So what I need to find out also is like, oh, do they react to like YouTube videos, right? Like if you were to show them a video with the sound on at the highest level of a dump truck, of a loud motorcycle, of these kind of things, does the child react to those type of situations, or is it only in real life situations that it occurs? If the child actually ends up reacting to like a YouTube video with the volume up and hearing the sound of these vehicles, that's where you start. You start at home to desensitize them to these type of sounds. So you might want to start off with it at the low volume until you can see they're no longer reacting to that situation. And as they get better and better, you start to increase the volume of the YouTube videos until they get used to it at the highest volume that you can get it at. When adults go in to work on things that they're afraid of, therapists usually teach them some coping skills so that it helps them calm down in these moments of fear. For adults, they might teach you to engage in deep breathing to calm yourself down. They might do progressive muscle relaxation, where you intentionally tense up and relax different muscle groups, and you go specifically from your toes all the way to your head. They can teach you to do guided imagery, where you're thinking about a calm place and you're imagining that place. But there's a wide variety of different types of skills, so that when they expose you to something that you're afraid of, you engage in those mechanisms to help yourself calm down. The other thing they can, so when we're working with our kids, then the problem is that teaching these coping skills takes a long time to do it right. So if they have an immediate fear that we have to tackle, then we have to find some way for them to be able to face that fear and be able to calm themselves down when they're faced with that fear. For us, in order to combat that fear, a lot of times we'll have kids eat something or chew on something before we introduce something that they're afraid of, because what happens is, like, you technically can't be eating and be scared at the same time. When you're eating, it sends positive sensations to your body that fight off the fear. And so for some kids, we'll have them snack on something before we introduce the fear response, and we just prompt them to keep on eating, because the eating helps to fight off the fear response. Other kids, like having some sort of stress ball or something for them to hold so that they can squeeze, they can do something so that they have something to do to occupy themselves and focus in on that instead of the fear response. If they aren't afraid of anything like, YouTube, or if you were to play any kind of movies that have these loud sounds in it, and they're not afraid of it in that context, then you're going to have to practice it in real life situations, okay? But even before you get into that real life situation, you have to practice with the child what you want them to do when they hear it. So you can record those sounds, play those sounds, but then you have them practice what you want them to do in those instances. You heavily reinforce those situations, and then you actually then have to expose it to them, and then you're trying to prompt them through what you want them to affirmatively do in those circumstances.